happiness, what we feel like is always interfering with that is suffering, like our circumstances, lack, insufficiency. So if I get more, then I'll be happy. That's kind of like relatively like a superficial way of looking at it. Like I'm unhappy because I'm disenfranchised. So if I franchise myself, then I'm gonna be lit. And then there's so many things that reinforce that as well. But for real, like money is not going, more money isn't going to, like millions of dollars is not going to make you all of a sudden happy. I mean, this has been proven. Like you look at the stats of like observable statistics, anthropological statistics and studies as well. People who win the lottery, for crying out loud, are broke like within the same year usually. They're actually depressed when they get that bread because people around them start to change, and then they just don't know what to do with all of that money. It's like, bruh, like after you realize that you can pay for your rent, you don't have to worry about, like, you know what I'm saying, Uncle Sam coming and knocking down your door, maybe some uncles and cousins. Like there's money has already done its like has already served its purpose in terms of providing for you, or in terms of working in the utilitarian sense to providing for your needs. So it's like after that, it's like, you know, there's some extra, you know, like a curricular things that are just purely for fun, for sure. It's like, but you know, really the human being doesn't need to have like really anything more than, I would say like a cup, like I'd say maybe $250,000 for real. And even that is like, you could really live a quality life. Like in a way,
pretty decent.
You know what I'm saying? Even with 150,000, you can live a pretty quality life because all of your essential needs in terms of like for survival are met for real. So anything beyond that point, it's gonna multiply your anxiety, because you haven't thought about what you're actually going to do with all of that bread. Like a human being spending $30 million purely on themselves is like, I'm not going to say it's bad, but it's not wise. And again, it's like, bro, like, what are you going to do at a certain point? You know, so that's like the billionaire, like multimillionaire syndrome. It's like,
how much money can you spend?
Yeah, it's like after a while you're buying like $40,000 sofas and mattresses. Jesus. Then you're like you're engaging in this sort of like competitive, you know, anteing up the next rich man because you have nothing else to do. You've already acquired everything any human being would want to acquire and achieve under this life. And it's like, now what do you do with the rest of your years and all of this buku money that you have? It's like, oh, George got a 60-foot yacht, I'm gonna go and get me like a 100-foot yacht. then no, there's really folks who be doing the whole mega yacht situation, and it's like they don't even live in them joints. They do it purely because they have nothing else to engage in but this sort of like frivolous, like I'ma get the most of quality, you know, the most extravagant thing I can possibly get, just cause now I have to engage in this sort of like kind of expression and activity, because what else is there to do?
That's mad futile.
It's mad futile, and that's what Solomon arrived at in terms of meaninglessness. So I would dare challenge you guys to say to yourself, if the quality of my life is set, like it will never increase anymore in quality because it's not predicated on like external circumstance. I would say the extravagancy of your life is what's going up for real. I wouldn't necessarily say the quality of it. Like if I have a bottle of water right now, whether it's Voss or it's Feed, you know what I'm saying, it's Deer Park, like that's not doing anything to the quality of my life. You see what I'm saying? Whether I'm driving a Subaru or a Lamborghini, that's not doing anything to the quality of my life. The extravagancy of my external of my external life has changed, but that doesn't lend to or extend to the point of like the quality of the virtue of my life. So if the quality of your life is set, as in like it's not going to go any higher in value, it's not metric based, and then if the value of your life is not metric based, that the more degrees you have, the more you know, and there's a lot of cultures, even Korean cultures, where this is like heavily enforced. Nothing is ever good enough. Even Nigerian cultures, a lot of African cultures as well have the same thing, you know. And then you still see it in every culture but you can see it prevalent in those.
Yeah.
But if the value of your life, the quality of your life is not going to go up any higher or any less, if happiness is not outside of you, just ask yourself the question, then how do you get it? If you're not happy, then how does one acquire happiness if it's not outside of self? That's a question you have to wrestle with. But if it's outside of yourself, then that means that you never really truly apprehend it for real. And then in terms of like what we actually have control over, because people run after money because, and this is another, like I would say, social finesse in culture, is like that money provides security. You have people who even you have people who won't even pursue their dreams because, like, out of fear, you know, this and that, or they do, and then it like they run into a little speed bump or a hurdle, and they just like they quit. They don't have staying power, and what they do is they go and they get a job that provides for them a steady check so that their livelihood is insured. And it's like money doesn't secure anything for real, because you can make that bag and then your health can just begin to tarnish and waver and decline rapidly. Then what do you do when you have all of the money in the world, when you have all the connection and relationship, all of these valuable relationships, but then like your health, you can't do anything about it? Like, no, you know, God forbid, but you have like some type of illness that is not curative. Then it's like, what do you do? And so the realm of our control and what we actually have sovereignty over is like really nothing. Everything that we do in life is not to the end of securitization. Is preventative action. For real. It's like, I'm gonna go and get this job to prevent, like, you know, poverty and homelessness. I'm gonna go to the gym to prevent like the rapid breakdown and decline of my body, right? I'm a get into a relationship to prevent, you know, me dying alone, to prevent, like, you know, to prevent the sort of like the lack of reproduction. So it's like all of these things are preventative for real, and don't really have they don't have, let me be careful, like they can increase joy. But I think that when you have meaning and you have happiness and you have purpose within, then I think what that does is it superimposes itself onto like its material equivalent or onto things on the outside. So you're happy within, you're whole, for example, you're happy, you have meaning, not that your job provides it to you, but that your life has meaning because you're a human being on earth. And you genuinely believe that your value is already set and that's inherent. Then what that does is it adds color, and like and everything that you do now has life. Not that it's providing it for you, but that like you in it. Like you're the person who has life and has happiness, and you're engaged in an activity that now has like that now has meaning, because the person who is meaningful is involved. So it's like, I'm happy, so I'm in a relationship with you. I'm not with you at the expense or the need of you. I don't have unrealistic expectations that will also to skew my that will only increase my dissatisfaction. You know, but my expectations are realistically bound. And I'm internally happy. So me and you can interact in a way where I see you as you are, not even potential, because that's fantasizing somebody. It's like you see all these things in a person that they are not presently. So then you get with the person and you're like mad that they're not this person that you've like fantasized or, you know, or imagined them to be. It's like, nah, they were the dusty person that they were when you met them. and you ain't falling in love with that person, but that's the person you're with.
Right.
So, you know, I think chasing potential is detrimental for that reason as well. But just having realistic, even financial goals, really discerning what kind of life you want to live, and then asking yourself, what's the actual dollar amount that I would need for in order to have that life? You know what I'm saying? I think comparison, how do you think about comparison in terms of what it does to how it distracts? What do you think about that?
Whoa. Comparison, like, I mean, we know the common saying that it's a thief of joy. But yeah, it does. Like, when you compare, you take your eyes off of what you do have and you look at what other people have, or other situations that you may think are better, and it literally just takes time away from you for you to be able to focus on how to use what you have and how to do, you know, how to do well with what you have. It also breeds discontentment. Like you feel really incontent with life and what you have and who you are or whatever. So I think that's a dangerous one. But it's just the way that the world is set up. We have been tricked. So yeah, like you'll go after what somebody else has because you think that that's gonna make you better, right? So once you do that, once you get this thing, it's as if you don't realize that you've now ascribed worth to yourself based on whatever that thing was that you felt you had to attain. So Jesse got a house, now you gotta go get a house. Not because you want a house, but because you want it because you think it's gonna add this value to you. So your discontentment and even your envy to a degree, because you've lost sight of your own worth, your intrinsic worth, then discontentment and envy will drive you to go and get something that you think will drive that worth up.
Comparison does kill. It's a thief of joy, thief of happiness. I think unrealistic expectations as well. Thief of joy, thief of happiness, peace, all of that for sure. Like you have unrealistic expectations. We see this in terms of like our spousal choices. That's one of the major areas where you see that. I think if you were to challenge yourself by getting off of social media for like a week, and or whatever the case is, but if you were to retreat and just spend time with yourself, even too when you spoke about rest, because what the world does a very good job at getting people to be a part of is striving and like working. So then you call that being determined and being ambitioned and being disciplined, but it's really actually of anxiety driven and like fear driven, because like who are you apart from what it is that you do? And like you have to be engaged and active in something, because it's like, if not, then what? You know what I mean? But it's because you're a animal that has a a piece of meat dangled in front of it, and it got you in a hamster wheel, and you just running constantly running, but to nowhere for real. Like then once you get there, then what? It's like at the point where and this is a point you brought out and I want you to espouse on this, but it's like at the point where you can't rest. Even God himself created the whole universe and has no real need to rest, because he's God. What God needs to rest. But I think the rest is of a different kind. I don't think it necessarily means to sleep. For us, we need it. But I think the rest is of the mind as well, is to rest from being actively involved in work. Because my work is not what defines me or gives my life value or credibility, or weight. It's like I already am valuable.
and you need to be restored. Like everything, rest is in the word restored, right? So when we're constantly moving and exhausting ourselves, you do need to sit down and just breathe. Even if you don't have to take a nap or anything if you don't want to. But like he was saying, rest is also mental, it's also emotional. Like you sit and you just still, right? There's a time for stillness.
Big facts. So that's big. Like if you recognize that, like you always gotta be active, you always gotta be, if you're always finding yourself like I gotta be out on the scene, what folk up to, what folk talking about, what's going on Twitter, what the world got going, like you can rest assured that you are probably not happy, um, and that you are filtering or funneling that in through all of these other external sources. Um, what I guess you got any closing thoughts or just like comments?
I would just say that I really think we need to dig much deeper into affirming our worth aside from everything else. Like the way that I think of it, and this is even something that like I have been doing as of late, is without anything, without money, without assets, without success, without achievements, without um, anything that the world and life dictates to us that claims to give us value, without any of those things. If you were just to be standing outside and it's just you and you have nothing, are you unworthy? And if your answer to that is yes, then I feel like you definitely need to do some soul searching and find out why it is that you're attaching external things to your intrinsic worth. But if the answer to that is no, that's a good start. But I still feel like we need to do um, like a spring cleaning and just affirm ourselves.
Clean your
like,
room.
Yeah, like
Jordan Peterson.
I'm worthy just because. Like we said earlier, I was like, you know what? I'm realizing, or I'm standing on the fact that my worth, actually, for me as a Christian, my worth comes from the fact that Jesus died on a cross for me and shed his blood. That's it. It literally doesn't come from anywhere else. That's why I'm worthy. I'm worthy because God made me in his image and he's worthy. Therefore, I am. That's it. I'm not worthy because of my car, because of my house, because of my net worth. I'm not worthy because I have kids or don't have kids. I'm not worthy because I am married or not married. Like, I'm not worthy because I have gotten to the highest echelon of society and I'm a billionaire and everybody knows who I am. I'm not even worthy because I've impacted people. Let me go there. I'm not worthy because I'm a Christian. I'm not even worthy because I quote unquote bless people with my amazing and beautiful gifts, whether that be singing or painting or drawing or dancing or whatever it is that I do that people consider amazing, beautiful gifts and talents. I'm not even worthy because of those things. I'm literally just worthy because Jesus died for me and because God said I am.
Yeah, just cause you exist, like
just existing.
Yeah,
I'm worthy.
A lot of people disagree with that, and I mean, I think that if you disagree with that, then you're probably fascist. Real talk, because like you feel like people don't do anything or add any sort of value to society, don't like deserve to be here or not worth their salt, just taking up space, and that you are literally, that you're like cousins of, like, you know, the worst kind of people on stamp. Feel how you want to feel about it, but you know, debate me in the comments if that's what you want to do. But people have value. I genuinely just subscribe to the belief that people have intrinsic, inherent value and worth, and if they wake up to it and they learn how to harness it, then they can be happy and fulfilled and live actually true and fulfilling lives, They can assume responsibility apart from, and to the point where it's not crushing them. They can go out and go through suffering, because the idea is not to create a life where you're bubble wrapped from the world. It's not realistic for all of my realists out there as well. So you will go through things that will try you, that will grieve you, and that will frustrate you, that will even bring you and cause you pain. And God is not evil because he allowed you to go through it. We just live in a world that is fallen. Like, this is the illustration I gave you earlier. It's like, yo, if you're trying to get to the corner store, and if you were to walk out of your house and the corner store is literally a block straight down your road, all you gotta do is go straight down the block, and then you're at the corner store and you begin to walk, and then for whatever reason there just happens to be they're doing construction on that very road, and you can't go down that road. You gotta take a detour, right? So okay, cool, I'm gonna take a detour, and then for whatever reason, let's say you make a left or a right to go around, another way to get there, and then as you're doing that, there's another roadblock, or you get robbed or something. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, dang, like, what the heck? I just wanted to go get milk. But life happened. These are unfortunate events that I hope, they don't happen, but we live in a world that, hey, man, it probably, not that particular situation, but like it's not even probably, you will go through things that you would rather not. And that's just what it is. We experience this in traffic. You know what I'm saying? We get stuck in traffic. There's detours. People get into accidents. All sorts of uncontrollable and unforeseeable things happen just in transition from one place to another. So if you expand that on a journey, there are detours, there's roadblocks, there's death even on journey. There's loss. All of that stuff is written into the story called life. And if you don't believe in God, then you have to navigate and champion and sort of like find meaning and navigate through the confluence of all of this suffering and evil yourself. And it's like, hey, if that's an undertaking that you want to do, more power to you. And I champion all of you folks. And you know what I'm saying? Let me know how that go. Let me know how that works out for you. And you might say, well, hey, I'm a CEO. I'm making 6 figures. I got this, I got that. And it's like, all right, cool. Kudos, my boy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Well, when you die, it ain't going with you. But hey, at least you achieved all of that stuff, and cool, kudos to you. And if that's if you're content with that sort of a life, then I just pray that the way in which you assume, the way in which you believe is ultimately true for you, if that's what it is. But ultimately, I would challenge you guys to really grow within, to really look within, and as Patrice said, to put a lot of these things that we are familiar to under scrutiny. Scrutinize even the most like blatantly true thing to you. I revisit and question even my own faith, not in the sense of a doubt, but to put it under the microscope of what it is that I believe, and do I really believe that, and what does that actually mean if I believe that, and etc. and so forth. And I don't, and then if I'm exposed by my findings, then that's okay. Like, you don't have to whoop yourself now and then, mentally put yourself in a gulag. You now are aware of something that you weren't aware of before, as it pertains to your pathology. So, that's just a little conversation we had. Again, this is informal. Let us know what you think. Let us know if there's just anything you would like to talk about, like if you got anything that if you got questions even related to the topic, you could definitely follow her on IG. I'll put her stuff somewhere over here. I'm gonna just keep pointing because wherever I put it, then it'll be right there. And you can follow me too as well. Links and all of that is down below. Peace.